Okay, my loves. I know there are a lot of you that are out there that are really wondering, how do I even set boundaries anymore? Maybe you didn't grow up with great boundaries. Maybe boundaries weren't really modeled well for you, or maybe you were told that you cannot have boundaries. Maybe you're tired of being gaslighted in your relationships, and you're tired of feeling crazy all the time and guilty for trying to make a difference in your life. If this is you, then I want you to come schedule a call with me. Let's chat about the Unashamed Image Program. The Unashamed Image Program is geared towards you specifically. I am going to be helping you in our next upcoming session of the Unashamed Image. I am personally going to train you how to not feel crazy when someone is gaslighting you, how to be able to stand your ground, to keep your boundaries intact, and to also see through the bull crap. I am also going to be teaching you how to set really confident boundaries that you can really rely on. And I'm going to help you communicate them in a way that really makes sense. Basically, I'm going to help you live a life free of shame and on your terms. If you are ready and you are done feeling all the shame and guilt for trying to set boundaries, if you are not willing to live another moment the way you are right now and in somebody else's shadow, then this is the time to schedule that call with me. It's completely free, no pressure, just love, just support. Go to www.erinandersonthetraumacoach.com. Scroll down the page to where it says, Let's Chat About Working Together. Click on that button and it'll take you to my booking page. If you're ready to live the unashamed life, schedule that call. Let's get you in the Unashamed Image Program, my loves. From my heart to your heart. Bye. Welcome to the other side of the struggle. This is a podcast where we talk about trauma, how to heal it, and then how to take it and use it to unlock your mission and your potential, and to use it to live your very best dream life. When you're dealing with betrayal trauma, it can be hard to know how to heal it, how to stop the pain, and to know what your next steps are to take in your own life. And these are the questions that we try to answer here. Trauma has the ability to rob us of our joy and identity, which is why it's so miserable to experience. But with the right tools and with the right mindset, we can totally reclaim that joy and even use this trauma to strengthen ourselves, so that way trauma does not knock us off of our joy again. Living your dream life should be a non-negotiable, but trauma tends to try to negotiate that with you. And even though trauma is not something that we will completely ever be free of in our life, the pain is negotiable. This is why I created Erin Anderson Betrayal Trauma Coaching and this podcast, is because I want my listeners, I want my clients to live, truly live free from the prison that trauma can put you in. I want you to live on the other side of the struggle. Okay, I want you to stop what you're doing right now for just a minute, and I really want you to hear me out. I want you to go right now to erinanderson.kartra.com/page/heart of gold. There you are going to find a free meditation just for you from me
This meditation is amazing. Let me tell you a little bit about what it's going to give you. Okay? Number one, it's going to help boost your confidence. If you are dealing with trauma, then you are most likely dealing with a confidence issue as well. And it's something that you are really, really wanting back. Number two, it is going to help you find security in your situations in your life because it's going to help you gain a sense of self-love and some self-trust. The third thing this is going to give you is an ability to escape the trauma that you're experiencing right now, this very minute, and help you find peace and joy and love and a deep appreciation for you and your experiences. This is going to really help you reconnect with yourself. So, that is very, very, very important when you are dealing with healing from trauma. So, again, I'm going to tell you what that website is that you need to go to. ErinAnderson.Kartra, KARTRA.com/page/heart of gold. Capital HEARTOF, capital GOLD. Go check out this meditation. Please claim it for yourself because it is 100% a gift from me to you to help you heal right now from trauma. All my love.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to another episode of The Other Side of the Struggle. I'm Erin Anderson, your host. I am so excited you guys are here today because we are talking about something that I actually get a lot of questions on, and this is the fight or flight or freeze response. When you're dealing with trauma, you can often find yourself freezing, not knowing what to do, and your brain just kind of like does this, and it's annoying because like in the back of your brain it's like, you know what I need to do, why am I not doing it, blah, right? And this gets really annoying. This gets hard. This is frustrating. And if you're in trauma, the freeze response can sometimes elicit more trauma, and that's not something you want. So I get asked a lot, Erin, how do you combat this? Well, first, let me say a couple of things. Number one, stuff happens. I'm a trauma coach. I've been coaching trauma for the last 10 years. But there are even times when my brain still goes into fight, flight, or freeze. Just to give you a very mild example, the other day, actually it was yesterday, to be honest with you, we got a new rooster. And if you guys know anything about raising chickens, backyard chickens, roosters can be ornery little suckers. And he's definitely testing his dominance. Let's just say that right now. And so I went out there yesterday. I had a shovel in front of me, and I used it just kind of as a shield against him. But I just have to say that all of a sudden, like, my fight, flight, or freeze response came up. I definitely kept that shovel between me and the chicken. But I had to come in and calm down because my adrenaline was crazy high. I was totally stressed out, and I just needed to calm down. Because, sorry, I am not in the mood to be attacked by crazy assassin ninja chickens. And like I said, that's a mild example. Like today, I'm like, not a big deal. I can go out there and I can deal with this bird, right? But yesterday, it was highly stressful. It was just a really, really highly stressful situation. And I've learned some new things about how to deal with chickens and backyard chickens and how not to tick off a rooster. But I'm giving you guys this example to let you know that even me, who's been dealing with different levels of trauma my whole life, but also like how to heal those different levels of trauma for several years, even I still find myself stuck in the fight, flight, or freeze response. So I just want you to know that you're normal if you're finding yourself in this. The difference is you don't want to stay in this. If you are staying in fight, flight, or freeze, or you find yourself there often, that is what we call anxiety. And the anxiety response is something that can create a lot more trauma for you. And we definitely don't want you there. So let's go ahead and dive in and give you guys some really powerful tools as to what you can do. And I also have a really fabulous surprise for you guys at the end of today's session. So hopefully you guys will stay with me because I think it's pretty awesome. Okay, anyway, so onward. Number 1, breathe. Okay. This is something that I would like ultimately really love to see in my clients and in my listeners as a daily habit, doing breath work. Breath work can open up your mind. It can open up your digestion. It can slow your heart rate. And if you think about it for just a second, like if you'll let me backtrack for a second, if you understand what happens to your body and your brain when it's doing the fight, flight, or freeze, it shuts down your digestion. It shuts down your cognitive reasoning. You know what? Actually, let me just read it straight off of Google. During the fight or flight response, your body is trying to prioritize, so anything it doesn't need for immediate survival is placed on the back burner. This means that digestion, reproductive and growth production, and tissue repair are all temporarily halted. Okay? So basically what's happening is your brain is sending energy and sending signals to your legs, your arms if you've got to fight, your legs if you've got to flee. It's sending energy to your heart. It's amping up. It's sending energy to your endocrine system so it can give you some adrenaline. And then it shuts everything else down because you're in survival mode in that moment. And survival mode means you have to be hyper aware, hyper vigilant, and you have to make sudden, very fast decisions to either fight, run, flee, flight. But the problem is oftentimes we find ourselves at war with ourselves, trying to figure out if it's going to be the fight or the flight, or we often have that voice like way back in our brain that's saying, you know what to do. But yet we're still sitting here like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Oh my gosh. You know. And it's because your brain is literally trying to focus on the thing that is going to get you to survive. That is what your brain is doing. So when you breathe, it brings more oxygen into the body. So in fight or flight, your breathing slows way down, actually. breathing gives your brain just one thing to focus on. Also brings that voice in the back of your mind, and it just gives you, like I said, that one thing. Start breathing. Because your brain, oddly enough, is a very fantastic invention, honestly. And it often can handle just one little thing. But ideally, for my clients and for my listeners, one of the things I would really love to see you guys doing is some sort of daily breathwork practice. If you guys do a Google search, for breathwork practices for anxiety, there's lots of different types of breathwork you can do in there. Like yoga breathwork is fantastic. There's also an abundance breathwork that I really love, where you breathe in for 8, you let out for 4, breathe in for 8, let out for 4, breathe in for 8, let out for 4, and this literally floods your brain with oxygen. And the other cool thing is that will start to open up your digestion. You're going to start to relax, and you're going to start to be able to get some reasoning in there. So, number one, biggest thing, breathe. And if you've already been accustomed to doing some sort of breath work, it won't be something that your brain is going to struggle actually so much to come up with. It'll just be like, oh. Second, you're going to want to check in with your body. You're going to find that your body is going to store some sort of energy or emotion, especially when you're in fight, flight, or freeze. For me, bringing back the chicken incident yesterday, I felt a lot of tension in my shoulders, in my neck, and in my arms, especially because I had to position that shovel at the drop of a hat. I couldn't turn my back on that bird. And I just had to be super hyper aware of where he was at. But I definitely felt the adrenaline response afterwards, where my body was just jittery and I was shaking all over a bird. Those of you that have backyard chickens, I can literally hear you guys saying, "Girl, it's a rooster. We get you." We would be having the same response, right? You guys totally have my back, and I get that. But I'm still like, dang, I got the fight, flight, or freeze over a bird. Anyway, so it's just a silly thing, right? But, as I'm checking in, I could feel my chest tighten up, my arms tighten up, my neck and my shoulders, my legs were really tight. When I got in, I could literally feel my heart racing. There was kind of a knot in my stomach. And I was just tired too, really, really tired, because that's what happens when your body just pulses adrenaline through you. Check in with your body though, because one of the things that really helped me get out of the adrenaline response and the anxiety response yesterday, especially where I found one of the things that really helped me yesterday in the fight, flight, or freeze response, was to get outside and actually get walking. My arms, my legs, my shoulders, everything was super tense. And so as I got walking, I was sending blood flow back through them and not so much of the adrenaline. The blood flow helped everything relax. It calmed my mind. So being really aware of where you're seeing this energy stored in your body is key in being able to help it move back out, okay? And then get those areas active. Definitely give yourself just a time to kind of calm down. But then go out and get active. Go for a walk. If you're a runner, go for a run. rolling around on the floor, like whatever it takes to get you active. Doing yoga is fantastic. I really highly recommend this because it will help move the anxiety and stress actually out of your body and bring you back into a state of peace and homeostasis. Number 3, meditate. Meditation is huge. Guys, I cannot stress meditation enough. It gives your brain a game plan. Okay, so like one thing, especially with like yesterday and the chicken incident, I've been now exposed to what he's like. I know what to anticipate, right? And so I've been actually thinking and showing my brain how to feel calm when I'm in that situation. And honestly, guys, even just talking about it, I can kind of feel the adrenaline start to rush up again. So I'm probably going to need to go for another walk. But still, I breathe through it and I show myself what it's like to handle the assassin bird, right? I remind myself, number 1, I am in control. I am the one that's in charge, not him. And I'm just going to be very careful, very cautious with him, but I'm also going to be very intentional with him. And intention is going to mean that we need to get in and we need to show our brains the things that we want, the things that we expect. And because when you find yourself in a situation where you're in that fight, flight, or freeze response, and your brain has already had many, many instances of seeing what it is you want to create, oftentimes your brain will say, "Oop, here's the trigger, this is what I do." Your brain is a very if then do kind of a creation. If this happens, then I do this. It's programmed to do that, actually. And so meditation helps you set the program in place. And so if you are someone who is dealing with a pornography, like your husband's pornography addiction, and one of your triggers is seeing porn on his phone, if you can meditate and see yourself taking a few deep breaths, calming yourself down, telling yourself this is a bad habit, this is how I want to respond, and this is what I would love to say. What ends up happening is that's exactly what you create when you go into that phase. Remember, last month we talked about the mind and what a fantastic creation tool it is. You truly have control over it, and you gain immense control over it through meditation. So, like one of the things I am currently working on is up-leveling this coaching business. I want to enroll more clients, and I want to really make a bigger impact and help more people. And so I have been playing this story over and over in my mind, and it gives me some steps of what I need to do. And so when I find myself having not a trauma response, but like a and I don't want to say trigger either, but like basically my first step is like when I sit in my office chair right now, then, if then, right? Our brains work on this, the if and then response. And so the meditation is what gives you that ability to have a lot more control over the if and then response. Number 4 is tapping. Now, my good friend Kashla, you guys have heard her on the show before. She talks about a technique called EFT, and it's called the Emotional Freedom Technique. And it's basically tapping all of the areas where you find a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress in your body. She teaches you to tap just like here on your forehead, on the side of your mind, like your brain, side of your brain. For those listeners, I'm sure you're shocked. The side of your head, just kind of on your temple, below your nose, because again, teaching you to open up the breath. Your chest, teaching you to open up the breath. Kind of below on your rib cage, opening up the breath. And like I said, on the crown of your head, just to kind of help you pay attention. And I'm sure there's a lot more to the EFT technique than what I have shown you, but those are the areas that I just sit there and tap on. Now, sometimes I'll talk through it and say, hey, it's all right. I forgive you. I love you anyway. It's totally fine. And it's one way that I have my own back. But sometimes words just totally leave me. And so I'll sit here and I will tap wherever I'm feeling the tension in my body. And like I said, again, the listeners, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing. But those of you, the chin too is also another place that she likes to tap. But those of you that can't see this, just tap wherever you're feeling tension. Just remind yourself, release, release, release. It's okay. You're good. No worries. You're going to be fine. We're going to get through this. I love you anyway. And sometimes it just makes sense to go ahead and feel the feelings as you tap your way through them. You don't necessarily always have to say anything. So there's that technique as well. And very last, my loves, forgive yourself. So how do you feel about boundaries? It's a legitimate question. A lot of people come to me really struggling with this concept. They often feel guilty for setting boundaries, or they're not sure about even what a boundary is. They've heard the term, set the boundary, things like that, but that's really confusing for them because it's not something that's well taught in our society nowadays, right? They know that boundaries are really important to having healthy, constructive, supportive, and wonderful relationships, but why? And oftentimes they also know that they feel like their boundaries are being violated, but they can't quite pinpoint what the boundary is that's being violated. That's why I've created the Clarifying and Creating Your Boundaries free PDF. You can find out what your boundaries are, how to tune in to what the boundary needs to be, and how to effectively create and communicate your boundary so that way you stay in this place that respects you, respects the other person, but also gives you the confidence in your boundaries so that way you stop being gaslighted, disrespected, and unseen. Having your boundaries really clear gives you a voice and also helps the other person stay in accountability with themselves. So that's not a role that you have to take on anymore. So if you are ready to really have clear boundaries, to really understand what your role is in the boundary, and to give yourself some safety and some protection against people that might try to gaslight you or are just being disrespectful, go grab my Creating and Clarifying Your Boundary PDF at erinandersonthetraumacoach.com. And while you're there, let's schedule a call with me. Come have a chat with me so that way I can really, really help you master this particular skill, creating boundaries, clarifying the boundary, communicating that boundary, and so that way I can also help you have relationships that show up to support you, cherish you, and love you. Anxiety is a death trap for confidence. if you're always in the fight, flight, or freeze response, you can't ever think, or it's really hard, I should say, to think about all the fantastic things about you. So, number one, just get in and forgive yourself. I want to mention a story about Elizabeth Smart. I love her. I follow her stuff. And, Elizabeth Smart, I don't know any of you that don't know her story, but, she was abducted as a young girl for 9 months, raped by this man, had horrible, horrible things done to her, was eventually found and rescued, and now she runs the Elizabeth Smart Foundation, helping people heal from trauma just like I do, right? Maybe on a bit of a deeper level, honestly. But she was talking about how she had gotten on a plane. She was either coming or going from a conference, and the guy that she was sitting next to all of a sudden started groping her on the plane, and she immediately froze. And she knew what she needed to do. She knew, like, she could hear in the back of her head, yell at him, scream at him, make a big deal, but she couldn't do it. She was in the freeze mode. Like, oh my gosh, what's just happening? Like, is this really happening? What is going on? Right? And her brain was trying to make sense of it all. She talks about how she could have shamed herself and been like, you totally know what you should have done. Like, how could you let that guy get away? Blah, 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 blah. But she didn't. She immediately forgave herself. She immediately did some self-care. She immediately loved on herself. And she literally poured her own self-love into her wound. Guys, that's huge when it comes to healing from trauma in any way, is pouring your own love into yourself. What does it look like to be your own best friend? What does it look like to, like, what would your dream bestie look like? What would they say? These are some things you can totally meditate on as well, right? But give yourself a little bit of a cushion, give yourself a little bit of grace, because those shoulds will put you into a shame cycle that will only cause you way more trauma. And that's part of the reason why so many men and women who are dealing with trauma are still dealing with trauma, is because they're stuck in the shame cycle. When we refuse to shame ourselves, even for the things that we did wrong, like if you're a man that's listening to my podcast and you're stuck in pornography, you can definitely say to yourself, dude, that is not in alignment with who you are. But shame looks like, you jerk, you filthy son of a gun. What is your problem? Women, it looks for you, that looks like you're too fat. Why are you not beautiful enough? What are you doing wrong? Why doesn't he want you? All of these things actually are a perpetuation of the shame cycle and a perpetuation of your trauma. We don't want that. We totally don't want that. Forgiveness of yourself, just being super gentle with yourself, loving on yourself. Go to a spa, get a massage if that's something that would feel good for you. Go out with your friends, whatever some sort of self-care looks like, make sure you give yourself an extra dose of it. Go hole yourself up in a hotel room for a couple of days. Order takeout or bring food with you. Whatever it takes, go give yourself some really intense self-care. And lastly, this also still goes with the forgive yourself, but journal it out. Keeping these things stuck inside of you will never benefit you. Journal it out. Give yourself a bit of a break. Love yourself. Put it down on paper. All of the negative, all of the crap, burn it. You can do a letter to God. That's my personal favorite, where I write a letter to God about what happened, how I'm feeling, ask him some questions, and then I write his response back. So, my loves, that's what I've got for you guys today. Hopefully this was helpful. Now, before I go, let me talk to you about my surprise. So if you guys want to go in depth a little bit further, I've created a freebie for you. I did. You're welcome. I am actually super excited about it, and it's the 5 steps to combating fight, flight, or freeze. It's going to talk to you about the breath work. It's going to talk to you about feeling where it's at in your body. And it's also going to talk to you about forgiving yourself and not judging yourself as you go through this. But make sure to come back to the meditation, come back to why your body and your brain is doing the things it's doing, and make sure you come back to really forgiving yourself as well, because, my loves, if you're going to combat fight, flight, or freeze, it really comes down to creating some habits. That breath work is so key to changing things. Your meditation practices are so key to changing things. Journaling, getting in tune with your body, all of this is key, and things that you can do on a daily basis to help yourself feel more calm about what's going on around you. Okay? So if you guys would like that freebie, if you want to snag that, I will drop the link in the description below, so check that out. And I'll also just tell you the link to that is erinanderson.kartra.com/page/fight or flight. One more time, erinanderson.kartra.com/page/fight or flight. Go check that out, guys. Go ahead and download that. That is 100% free to you. And if you guys have like some other freebies that you would love to see come from me, let me know. Come check me out on Facebook at The Other Side of the Struggle, or Erin Anderson Betrayal Trauma Coaching. Send me a message. I would love to see how I can serve you better. And if you guys are really looking for that extra dose of support, don't forget to book a call with me. You guys can totally do that. So, my loves, with that, next week I have a fabulous guest speaker coming on. It's Lark Dean Galley. She talks about how she was able to process trauma after her son committed suicide. And I really felt like, even though a lot of you that are coming to my podcast are dealing with betrayal trauma, you know, Lark talks a lot about how she felt betrayed by her son for a little bit, and she also talks about how she healed that, and she also talks a lot about what she's doing now with that pain. So, anyway, my loves, I hope you guys have a fabulous week. Tune in again next week, and I hope you guys have a great one. Bye. Okay, so I've got a question for you. Have you joined my free Facebook group or Instagram page yet? If you haven't, go and do that. And this is the reason why. I always post my freebies, updated information, and all kinds of goodies for my community in that page. I'm also really active. I post videos, I answer questions. So if you guys really, really want to get in and interact with me, go like me on Facebook, go join my group, The Other Side of the Struggle, Healing from Betrayal Trauma. Come find me on Instagram, Erin Anderson, Betrayal Trauma Coach, and come follow me because I always have something good there just for you, my audience, and I love connecting with you there. I also post anytime that I have groups going on. I talk sometimes about my programs. So if you guys are interested in working with me or even just following me and getting as much free content as you possibly can, go hang out in my group. Go connect with the ladies that are there. Also come and join Immune and Unashamed for those married couples that are following me, because in that group, me and my business partner, Kaisen Kidd, are also talking and offering some great content in there. So go join up. I hope to see you on the other side of the struggle. Hey guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today and listening in on this podcasting episode. Don't forget to tune in next week. It's gonna